Hello and welcome to session 13, where we're going to calculate money, compound interest, percentage increase, decrease, discounts including tax, and simple budgeting. Oop. So, aims and outcomes. By the end of this session, learners must be able to calculate percentage as a fraction. Learners should be able to calculate percentages increase or decrease in a quantify. Learners could also aim to apply percentages to savings, borrowing, and wages. Learners will be able or will be assessed on their ability to understand how to calculate percentages increase or decrease. So we've covered percentages already. So if we can cast our minds back to those sessions, you'll be familiar with seeing percentages in everyday life, such as discounts in goods in shops online, increase in wages, increased rates offered on savings, and interest to be paid on loans. So this is an important topic to understand and to master because it affects every day of your lives. Example, a phone cost £80 last week, but the shop is now offering it with a 5% discount. How much does this now cost? So if you remember what we said last time, we would do 10%. So 10% of 80, drop the naught, is 8. Half the 10%, that's got to be 4, right? So, and then we're now going to do 80 minus 4, which leaves us with 76. So a nice straightforward percentage. We like them when they're straightforward. So we find 10% first. So that is 80 times 1/10 equals £8. Or to find 5%, we halve the result. So dividing that by 2 gives us £4. 5% of 80 equals 4. So now the price we pay is 80 minus 4 equals 76. I just think it's easy to do 10%, drop the naught. That gives you 8, divide that by 2. Okay, so calculate percentage with fractions then. So we've covered this already. It is sometimes easy to use fractions in calculations. Here is a table that shows how to convert between simple percentages and fractions. So 10% is 1/10, 25 is a quarter, 50 is half, 20 is 1/5, 33 and a third is a third, and 75% is 3/4. So if a TV costs £240 but now has 25% off, what is the new price? So again, we could do 10% would be 24. So I just need a bit of paper so I don't lose myself on this. So we would do 10% is 24, isn't it? Because we just dropped the naught. So 20% would be another 24. And 5% is half, so that's 12. So that's 24 plus 24 plus 12. 4, 8, 9, 10, 2, 4, 5, 6. So 60. There we go. Solution. We can solve this by working out 10%. That's 24. And then 5 is 12. So 25 is 10 plus 10% plus 5%. There we go. So we just did that. 24 plus 24 plus 12 is £60. This gives us a sale price of, and then do the 240 minus 60 gives us 180. Using fractions, 25% is a quarter, and a quarter of 240 equals 60. So again, the sales price is 180. An even quicker method is to note the new price is 3/4 of the old price. So 3/4 of 240 equals 3 times a quarter of 240 equals 3 times 60 equals 180. So calculating percentages is increase or decrease in a business, or it's important to be able to calculate percentage increase or decrease over relevant context. So, for example, the price of a litre of petrol has increased from £1.60 to £1.35 over a period of 6 months. What is the increase there? So for this, excuse me, we need the new value minus the original value times that by 100. So here you can see the percentage increase there, and you can see the sum on the screen. So we're looking at about 12.5%. Good. Okay, so increase in postal rates. Postal rates increase in the UK are decided upon government in the consultation of Royal Mail. For example, the cost of a first-class stamp for a small business letter in year 2020 was 27p. Good Lord. It's not that now, is it? It's nearly £1 something. And in 2019, it was 70p. What is the percentage increase in this price? So we need the original value minus the new value, sorry, minus the original value, divided by the original value times by 100. So that would look at 70p minus the 27p. So that's the new price minus the old price divided by 27 times that by 100 equals 43 divided by 27 times that by 100 equals 159.3% to one decimal place. This is a considerable increase, but both wage and prices have also increased over this 19-year period. Is it a fair increase? So you would then need to know what the increase of wages have been to answer that. So to answer this, you will need much more data, such as the rate of inflation over this period of time, to do a comparison cost. So if we look at savings, another important application percentage is to work out how much interest can be earned on savings and how much you will be charged if you borrow money. We will look at borrowing money later. My bank offers to pay 10% interest on a year on the money that you invest. So if you invest £100, after 1 year, you will receive an interest of, so it's 10%, isn't it? So then it's 10 add 100 equals 110. There you go, to £10. So often we will leave your savings in the bank for a number of years and then continue to receive interest on the money in your account each year. This can continue year after year. So next year you will invest £100 plus 10 equals 110. Interest received at the end of the second year amount would then be, so it's, we know what 10% of 100 is, that's 10. So 10% of 10 is 1. So then that's got to be 10 plus 1 is 11. There we go. So 10% of 110 equals 1/10 times 110 equals £11. And then we just add that on. So you now have £121 to invest in the next year, and so on. So if you look at this table, then we can reinvest each year. It's called compound interest. We will now see how the value of your account increases year on year. Here's an account over the 6-year period. So in year 4, it goes up to 133.10. So we work out the interest on that, which works out about £13.31 because it's 10%. So 31 there. So 13.31, and we add that on equals 146. We then bring that forward to here. We now do 10% of that, so then that's 14.64. 14.64. So can you see, because it's 10%, it's 14.64, it's 13.31, it's 12.10, it's 11, it's 10. So 10% is really easy. That's 61.05, then now rolls to here. So without a calculator, we can go that 16.1. Now the problem is because that's the 5, we obviously need to round that up. So there, so that goes 16.11. Add those two together, that's 177.16. So just keep rounding up on that one. There is in fact a formula that can give you the total for the year on year. If you invest pounds and the interest rate is R, then N year is the account what would be worth. So your value here is A brackets 1 plus R, the interest rate. Then after the years there, so N for the years. So we can check this out as the example where A equals £100, R is 10, and N is 6, given an account value of 177.16 to 1 decimal point. Okay, note that the sum is multiplied each year by 11 divided by 10 equals 1.1. So how long would it take to reach 200? So this is an easy calculation as 1.17 equals 1.9487 and 1.18 equals 2.14358. So after 8 years, £100 invested would be worth £214.36. So if we're looking at borrowing, the way this works in a similar way to savings, except that you have to pay back the original sum borrowed with interest added in each year. This can be very dangerous, particularly if you use loan sharks. And that's because you've just seen how that interest has been compounded and added. It works in exactly the same way. So suppose you borrow £500 at the beginning of the year with an interest rate of 30% each year. How much would you owe? So we need to do 30%. So 10% of 500 is where you need to go first, because that's easy. Then you can work out your 30%. So that's right. So we're looking at 10% of 500 is 50. So 3 would be 150. Yeah, so £150, and then you add the £150 onto the 500. So that means you would then owe the lender £650. If you cannot pay anything back at the end of the second year, you would then owe the 650 plus then 30% on top of that. That then equals 845. So be aware of borrowing money and make sure you can pay back the loan ASAP. So again, if we looked at this, then we can see how that looks when borrowing money. So if you borrowed it in the third year, it's 312.50. Interest to be added is 78.13. You now owe 390. We now do 25% on that. So 2 lots of 10 and the 5, which would be 97.66. We then add those two together. That gives us 488. We bring that forward and we do 25% of that. So 2 lots of 10 and a 5 is 122. Add that together. So that becomes £610. So you can see just from borrowing £200, you could potentially be paying back all of that. Now, loans, generally, their rates are much higher than that anyway. So it's going to be a lot higher. In practice, it can be much more complicated with interest charges, monthly or even daily units. You have to pay back the loan plus interest. It's important that you fully understand the terms and conditions of any financial loan before agreeing to it. So wages, when wages are paid, you also have to pay tax and national insurance depending on your age and wage. Here's how we consider the rates. Suppose you get paid £12 an hour. You're working 8 hours in a week in a cafe. You're given a pay rise of 6%. How much will you receive? So we can work that out here. 6 divided by 100 times by 12 is 0.06 times that by £12. That's an additional 72p. You're working 8 hours a week, so your increase is 8 times 72, which is an additional £5.76. And then obviously, and then obviously you would just add that onto your weekly rate, right? So that's how you work out that. So by the end of this session, you should be a bit more comfortable with percentages and fractions. Learners should be able to calculate percentages, increase and decreases, apply percentages to savings and borrowing and wages, and understand how to calculate percentages, increase and decreases. Please do not forget to check your skills on the activity sheets, test your knowledge against the skill checkers. Lovely. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.